Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Global Domination. I'm excited because today we have a business broker on, which we're always talking real estate. We don't talk business sales too much, but Gerard Perillo here, who's got so many credentials behind his name. He's one of those guys with the entire alphabet, and I'll let you dive into that, Gerard, today on all your credentials because you've got one hell of a story. But my favorite part of this story is when we met, 3 years ago now?
3 years ago, October 2020, June 2021.
June of 2021, Gerard had a map, and it was his game plan of how he was going to grow his independent brokerage in all these multiple states. And I loved that map. I hope you still have it because it was cute as hell. And I said, how many years is it going to take you to do that? And you said,
forever, because I think I've worked my way in about 10 states.
Gerard, let's dive in because, a lot of people, when they're sitting here listening to us and they're like, business broker, what is business brokering?
Very simply put, just like a residential agent helps a buyer or seller assisting in buying or selling a house, we do the same thing with with a business. So I'll correct one thing. You said a business broker. I'm actually the business broker.
The business broker.
I consider I am one of the top 10 in the U.S., not just for credentials and the amount of closings, just to qualify. Yeah, so we just help number one, help the sellers take businesses to market and help connect them with the buyers. So that simply put.
That's right. And two, you also are certified in those valuations for businesses, which is a whole nother level. It's not like doing a comparative market analysis, that's for sure.
That's correct. So I'm an SBA appraiser. And that was the point of our conversation, Stephanie, is EXP was about to launch into the business brokerage industry. And my whole conversation was talking about software that we had developed, which you probably still do not remember. And our call was about that. And that spent about 4 minutes on the software and blah, blah, blah. And then the rest of the time talking about the amazing benefits of switching my independent brokerage over to EXP, which I did.
It was funny because I do remember the software. Its name was Today's Val. And the whole time you were talking about Today's Val, in my mind, I was talking about this is going to be Steph's Gerard. I'm making this guy Steph's Gerard because you actually had the best footprint, right? I was a former independent broker owner. I wanted to, I had mastered my local market. I wanted to take my knowledge of real estate and take it across the United States. But for us as independent brokers to go and get licensed in all these different areas, I mean, you spend all your time in school. You spend all your time doing continuing ed. You spend all your time trying to suffice what the states want to open a real estate office. It's extremely time consuming. And I saw in EXP the same thing I proved and showed you that day. It's a platform, it's a brokerage. You flip on the switch and you are immediately able to do what you're setting out to do without all the overhead, without all the expense, without all the time commitment, and boom, you're in business.
And it even was a little bit more complicated than that. So we were getting licensed in all these states, or I had a separate company set up as a consulting firm. So I was working that gray area of closing businesses under different terms and different contracts and you couldn't call them listing agreements, basically marketing agreements, all these kind of things. So you're worrying about all kinds of legal issues and liabilities as you're trying to run two different companies, one a real estate brokerage firm, which you're dealing with the state issues, and then a consulting firm, making sure you're not crossing any lines that overlap into the real estate side of it. So yeah, it was a little stressful back then.
It definitely stressful. And if you couldn't figure that out, you had to then trust and build a relationship with a local broker that you could then co-broker that deal with. But we all know what happens when somebody else gets involved, that you don't have that trust and relationship built with. They do business different, right?
100%. And that's actually where the first time I ever heard your name, Stephanie. And where this map comes in. And yes, I still have it in my office. It's at my office in the house. It still sits there because I remember those days. And I had Kentucky circled, find a broker. And then this is back when, after the conversation with you, I was like, why does her name seem familiar to me? And 2 years prior to that conversation that we had, I had spoken to a friend that actually lived in Prospect, Kentucky. We're friends for 10, 15 years. And I had reached out to him by phone, like, I think Saturday, you need to call me. His name was Jeff Schutz. I'm like, you need to call me and let me know. I said, I'm talking to somebody. I need to know who was the name of the broker that you provided me back a long time ago, like 2 or 3 years earlier. And by the time we got through the weekend, he had confirmed it was Stephanie Gilman. And I just knew that something was meant to happen after that. And back then he had told me, now don't reach out to her unless she's a beast. Don't reach out to her unless you got something real. And I'm like, okay. And I never reached out to you back then, but that's where we come full circle.
Hey, you know what? Everything's supposed to happen it all happens for a reason. So look, as big as this world is, it's that small too, especially when you're good at what you do. You're good at what you do. I'm good at what I do. And, good people bring good people together. I mean, that's what it boils down to. So it's been almost 3 years that you've been with EXP. Let's talk about how your business has scaled, what it was and what it is now.
Well, let's just say we've been doing a lot of deals across the country, a lot of it referral based from EXP Realty agents and other commercial agents. So we're doing valuations in Oregon. We're doing valuations and listings in California, in Texas, Tennessee, Georgia. I'm sitting in Destin, Florida, and I've got the team that helps me work across the stage. But the biggest thing, in less than my first full year operating the team as Shark Team under EXP, I did become the first Icon business broker that's strictly business, not just commercial, strictly business within EXP. And I'm excited. I'm displaying it. And it was funny, an EXP agent came in, was looking for me to do a deal. And he saw the Icon, a little statue that I have in my office. And he's like, oh, I know you're the right guy to talk to.
Oh, absolutely. And for everybody that doesn't know what Icon means, look, at EXP, it's real simple. Gerard's with EXP Commercial. It's an 80-20 split. When that 20% totals $20,000, you're 100%. So you probably stay 100%, 11 months out of the year, right? Getting 100% of your commission. Then you made $500,000 in gross commission income, and you Icon. And Icon means EXP Commercial gives you your $20,000 back in the form of EXPI stock, which is EXPI stock is a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company with absolutely no debt. I love it. It's phenomenal. And think about, okay, you've come to EXP, you've exploded and expanded your business. You didn't have to go along your 30-year path of getting open in all these states 30 years later. The liability, the risk, the overhead, all the cost of that. And you've been with EXP, you've done that with the form of a light switch, and they've paid you to be with them.
And it gets beyond that. It's given me the freedom. Last year, as you know, I published a book back in December, and published a book on telling a business owner how to prepare themselves to sell. It allotted me some other time that I wouldn't have had as a broker with another firm to do other things that, a lot of us think about writing a book. I found a good publishing team, and they were able to help me, but I had the time to do it now. So that was exciting. And the book's called Sharkpreneur, and it is out on Amazon. And it went to #1 within 10 hours in 3 categories. And I did get the support. And this is the support and the help of EXP. Michael Valdez actually did an interview for the book as well. So it's very, outside of when you're owning your own brokerage, you're at the top, and no one else is there to motivate you, support you, give you good attaboys. any of that stuff. So that's the
Yeah.
one thing that I love about EXP, because that's all around here. And
Well,
that's
and the time you took to write the book was time prior to that you had to spend working in all those administrative parts of being a business owner, right? I mean,
correct.
somebody's got to do all those little nuances, and that doesn't necessarily make us money, but we have to do them in order to keep the business going. I mean, that's a big part of why I did what I did 6 years ago, which was take my entire brokerage to EXP, because I wanted to get rid of everything that didn't have the definition of fun. Meaning,
Mhm.
if it didn't make me smile, it wasn't worth me doing any longer. I love selling real estate. I love working and building agents. I love even doing some trainings. I love coaching agents. I love to win and I like to have fun. But I didn't want to be the manager every single day. I didn't want to have to oversee the books. I didn't want to have to deal with the E&O insurance and all the new regulations and be responsible for, it's kind of like when you have children, you don't want to raise any more children that aren't, biologically yours, so to speak, right? You want to do the fun stuff that you enjoy, but you don't want to do everything that it takes to run a business. That's what EXP is. I still have my business. It's just 10 times what it was, but I don't have all the negativity that I didn't enjoy doing.
And Stephanie, what I love about all that, so I've only been independent since 2003. So this is not, I've been independent for 5 years. I've been independent since 2003. I've never had a broker
Yeah.
ever oversee whatever. So, but in that time, everyone still knows me as the Shark Team, and they don't. So I am still. So I still say I'm an independent brokerage. I'm
Yeah.
just working for a big publicly traded firm, but
Yeah.
I refer to myself as an independent brokerage because we are basically independent on what we're doing in our marketing and all that kind of stuff, and we still use our brand names. And it's
Right.
allowed me, and I think I said this at the beginning, it allowed me to get out, start doing speaking events. So outside of some of the stuff I've done at EXP, I've been on stage with some big ballers around the country, which I always thought I could go toe to toe with talking because I got passionate about what I'm doing. So now you'll really love this. So when they brought me in for this talk, and Jeff Hoffman with Priceline was the main speaker at this mastermind, and because of a couple of things, they needed a guest speaker 2 weeks ago. They're like, Gerard, can you jump in? Of course, it was local to me. Let's do it. So they said, well, what is the name of your talk? Now, this is all geared towards entrepreneurs. Everything help you scale, brand. Everything was geared towards faith, leadership, and business acumen, all geared towards the business owning entrepreneur. And so my title of the talk to the MCs and the crew setting this up and the producers of the mastermind was why you are not just an entrepreneur. And they kept hitting me like, that's a little edgy and negative. Can we do something? Like, no, we're doing that. And what I did is I use that talk, and everyone actually enjoyed that because I was explaining how the business owner isn't just an entrepreneur, but they're a sharkpreneur. The title of the book, The Shark in Your Entrepreneur, being real relentless in your determination to succeed and beat out all your competition. And I got on stage, and like I said, there are ballers in the front of me speaking, ballers on the back. I was on the first day. That was the other commitment. As long as I can speak, first day on stage, it's always a good thing. You either want to be the first, last, or on the first day. Anyway, yeah. And I had plenty of people come up to me and said, you 100% held your own with everybody else speaking. It was exciting. So
it's awesome. Well, here's what I always love about the whole business side of things is that, and this has helped you tremendously too at EXP because you are a specialist in this. And look, real estate agents all over this country and other countries have already worked hard to build relationships with their clients. And they're always focused on the next house. When are they going to buy their next house? Or maybe their next investment property. But look, the statistics of business owners in America, I mean, there's so many of them. And what realtors never think about is that side of the transaction. Granted, they're not specialists in selling or representing business, and they shouldn't be without the proper training and education and licensing. But there's opportunity there. What you've been able to do is bring this to agents and say, look, there's another entire revenue stream for you, referral fees, because a lot of your clientele are now coming from other realtors who have already built the relationship, and you've taught them how to go back to their database and ask the simple question of, do you have a business you want to buy or sell?
100. That's been the majority of our closings through referrals. And I can give and we've talked about past ones before, and we've probably paid out close to $140,000 in referral fees to just handing us over. We do all the work, we do all the work and you get a check. But a current, think about this. We just went back and forth on a letter of intent. And the agent that brought this is a $16 million deal. When we consummate this contract and close this deal, the agent, she's an EXP agent, will receive an $80,000 check. She's going to cash out on
referral.
80 grand, 80,000.
I love it.
And I'm so excited about that. And yes, we'll be parading that around EXP. You'll see that flying around. We're so close to that deal right now. It's about to happen. So those are the opportunities, because listen, you already are boots on the ground. We're there to assist. We cannot. There's 9,000, 10,000 realty agents in Florida. There's another, 80,000 across the nation, even across the country. I'm across other countries. We can help them walk through that process. And what we like to do, just, listen, do a soft introduction. If they thought about buying or selling, put us on a Zoom call like this with them. Listen to how we talk to them. We build that rapport and that credibility. We're an extension. We're partner to the realty agents. And we will handle them with kid gloves like you would your own clients. And you just know that we're going to take it to close. So it's all about the relationships and building those relationships. And we've done a pretty good job with our name within EXP, and we want to continue to add to that.
And you've been doing speaking events at, Florida Realtor conferences and different things like that. You'll pay a referral fee to any agent out there that's watching. They don't have to be with EXP, so to speak.
100%. We've done this. We've done this for 4 or 5 years working with agents, because we just understand they're the ones out in the community.
That's right.
And this stuff goes. So we work with workshops and work with different people. And just Wednesday, I was invited to do a speak for a chamber of commerce that was with the Small Business Development Center, and a gentleman had come in, was out buying and selling businesses. There was a lender, there was an attorney, stuff. A gentleman that I had done his appraisal back in 2019 walked in, and we recognized each other. Like, what is this? So we valued his business at $4 million, come full circle, and now we're gonna sell. He's like, I should have sold back then, but I listened to everything you said. I've been building the business here. We're ready to sell. It was amazing that he had still remembered everything that we talked about before pandemic, before the chaos started.
Wow.
And he did a lot of stuff. It was just by accident he walked into that. It was in Panama City, so it's an hour from my hometown, and it was like a love fest between me and him, because I was like, oh my gosh, you're ready to sell now, because I told him he wasn't. That's the other thing we're good about. He wasn't ready to sell where he needed to be. He is now. Our job is not to take a client and just list their business to sell. It's to tell them when the best time for them to sell. To take the highest price. So the business needs to be at its financial peak. The business needs to be at capacity. You want to make sure the business is ready it's perfect to sell. And if it's not, you tell them, listen, you can do a couple things and we're here to sell it, but it may take a year, 2 years, or 3 years to get to where your goals are. That's what our job is. And I think we're good at that.
You're excellent at that. And I love that too, because look, that's the big difference, I think, between, selling numbers, right? Because people aren't buying a business I mean, I guess some do, but they shouldn't buy a business just to buy a job. They want to buy something that cash flows. And so it's important, to net that seller the most is to represent it in a way no different than a real residential agent going in and having to stage a home. You've got to stage the situation of the business as well too, and take that time that it's going to, take to get it there. So let's share some statistics, Gerard, because this always excites me, especially when we hear, and I always get these numbers screwed up, so do correct me. But they say in the course of the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be over $5 trillion worth of businesses bought and sold. $5 trillion.
That's correct.
The largest transfer of all kinds, because the baby boomers are doing some retiring, right? And not everybody anymore, has that child to leave the business to necessarily. They're looking to exit because kids have grown up and decided to, get famous on TikTok or what have you, instead of maybe work in the family business or whatever. But $5 trillion worth of businesses. And think about, if there's 1,000,008 realtors in the United States of America, how many of those realtors know those business owners? They probably worked with them on their house purchase or their investment properties or whatever, right? And so that's where it's almost mind-blowing that agents, realtors need to dig into that sphere, that database that they've already got in front of them, that they already have the rapport with, and bring this into their model to earn additional revenue. When realtors came to me and said, look, I'm really worried about this NAR settlement, and what does that mean? I'm typically on the buy side of things. What does this mean? Well, my number one answer is well, today you got to start learning how to prove and share your value. I know my value. I know that I am not touring around looking for properties without a compensation agreement. But I've had that in place for a very long time because some of us are business people and that's just what we do. I have never treated real estate as I want to make friends with every client. No, my business of real estate has been I want to be compensated on every effort of work I do, period. But it's a different mindset sometimes with folks. And I tell the people as well, while you're working on that value conversation, why don't you get into your database and start looking at other opportunities for you to utilize it? And this is a perfect one about businesses.
You're nailing it. So in thinking this terms, so there's 33.3 million small private businesses that's qualified under 5 million gross revenue, under 500 employees. Now, out of the majority of businesses, 98% have no clue what their value is. So typically those baby boomers, and I'm about to say something that just caught my attention 2 months ago. So those baby boomers, most of them have no idea that they may have the ability to sell. Yeah. So a couple quick examples. So I've sold a plumbing company that was working out of their house. I did an appraisal for a VP of a big firm. She loved what I did for her company. She said, hey, listen, my husband's about to sell his plumbing. He's about to just stop doing his plumbing company. Do you think you could sell a plumbing company? We're not renting an office or we don't own an office. I'd be like, well, let's take a look. You never say yes to anything. You have to take a look.
Got to take a look.
Got to take a look. So I did the valuation. This guy had the best reputation in his industry, 25 years. Like he had 3,500 clients, best record on time, like Google reviews. I was asking Jimmy, I go, Jimmy, are these real Google reviews? Because you got a ton of good stuff. He goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like he didn't know how to do Google. He wasn't doing fake Google. He had no idea. So we took his business, took his income statements, his tax returns, his balance sheet. We ended up coming up with a valuation about $480,000, and we didn't sell it for $480,000. We listed it for about $460,000. We sold it for $380,000, and he was tickled pink, right? He's excited about that. So it's like, and there's a HVAC company that was going to shut it down. You spoke to the children, 3% success rate. When you give ownership of your business to the children, 3%. Most of them are going to sell it within a year, or most of them's going to shut down or fail within a year. So his sons did not want this HVAC company. So I had overheard him talking the conversation. I said, listen, I'm going to do a free appraisal for you. Okay. I just want to see what your numbers are. His value of his HVAC company was 1.25. I'm like, wow. Listen, you have something sellable. I knew he was sellable because he had 4 or 5 crews. I can't remember exactly, like 4 or 5 crews back then. This is actually in the book. Well, he also owned the real property. So we had the attorneys put the real property into different LLC. We ended up selling the business, got $1.2 million for it because listen out there, audience, home services make up close to 60% of all sales. Anything having to do with the house, landscape, HVAC, plumbing,
yeah,
all of it. That's what everyone wants to. That's the hottest tickets right now. So we end up selling that, and then he became a landlord. So he got a big check, and now he's a landlord collecting a rent check every single month. So those are the things. But we always talk about the baby boomers, right? They're selling the business. And that's where we really focus. Well, who's buying those businesses? Okay.
Young people.
Millennials. They're the buyers. Just like they're the number one buyers in residential, by a little bit, they're the number one buyers in business. So you got your millennials out there, your real estate, you got the people out there. They're going to be the biggest purchasers of these businesses. So you got your buyers in the millennial side, and then you've got the baby boomers on that side. And it's just conversations with them. If you ever, I know you own a business, do you have an exit plan? And I said this on stage and offered a book on Monday. And I said, and I'm talking like these are some smart people, and most of them didn't get the answer. When should a business owner prepare? I was saying, when would a sharkpreneur prepare their business to sell? So when would the top of the top entrepreneur prepare their business to sell? And there was one young lady that said, and she was the only one that was correct, but everyone's saying the day you buy, the day or 2 years or 1 year, 6 months, it's before you buy the business.
Yeah.
Your business plan should have an exit plan. So we talk about all that stuff, and the millennials get it. So we focus. So now whenever I talk about the baby boomers, there's always two sides of transaction, and that's the millennials. And so we're going to be merging them together, but I love it.
That's awesome. See, I love it. I get so excited when you start talking all these statistics. So I'm glad we brought this up, but it's eye-opening because, you know, I was in the real estate industry for 20 years before I ever even thought about the business side of anything. I had worked with so many businesses, finding them real estate, commercial real estate to lease real estate, the whole 9 yards. It wasn't until, Sam and all of you all focusing in on, the business side of things. Look, not everything has to be about real estate at all. And the amount of activity that's happening, everybody says, well, the rates are so high right now. SBA rates that has not slowed down. I mean, it's busy. It's so busy. Sam is so busy, and I know you're busy too. He's so busy, he doesn't even know how to get his phone to stop ringing unless he just shuts it down. People are ready to invest in businesses no matter what those rates are.
Absolutely. So let's go to this statistic. There's only 13,000 people that do what we do as business brokers nationwide. And Sam and I and our teams are in the top. There's only 400 people across the nation that are even credentialed. And then if you break it down a little bit more, it's really, I like to say Sam and I are in the top 5. There's going to be the ballers that have been
or you could say the top 2 Italians for sure.
There we go. The top 100%, because there's not many Italians doing what we're doing.
but it is awesome. It's eye-opening. It's eye-opening. But look, EXP, myself, and you, we're always about how do we get creative? How do we evolve? How do we think outside the box? And how do we help others to do the same thing too? So if anybody gets anything from this call today, especially if they hold a real estate license and they've got a book of friends, I don't care if you've got 40 connections on Facebook. We all know they have more than that. But start asking those questions. Does anybody need help with a business valuation? Is anybody looking to buy a business? Look, there are people like Gerard here, his whole team ready to work with those people and compensate you appropriately for bringing the introduction.
And they always think in bricks. So the teachable moment, it's not all about brick and mortar, just like the plumbing company. 50% of all businesses are from the home, and they're still valuable. So it could be relocatable. There's so many things that we can do. So don't look like, well, they really work from the house. It could be worth $3 million. You don't know. You don't know until we have the conversation. So don't judge a book by its cover. 70% of the businesses are either leasehold or they work from their house. So don't even look at the real estate end of it. If there's real estate, it's just a plus. That
is amazing, Gerard. Thank you so much for being on here today. I love you. You know I do. I'm so glad that we reconnected 3 years ago, and I can say you're my business partner because you're one hell of a guy.
There's only one person that's ever recruited me in my life, and that's you.
And that's me.
That's you. I love it. I love it. I appreciate the time that you've given me today. So
absolutely. And look, anybody that wants to reach out to Gerard, please do so. We're going to have his information in the comments section below, and he is here to answer any questions at all. And heck, they can look you up on Instagram too, right?
And I'm going to say one more thing. We are launching Sharkpreneur Academy, which is going to be a do-it-yourself for buyers to buy a do-it-yourself blueprint to purchase a business. It's going to be amazing. That's number one. Then we're going to teach what do you do when you own a business, and it's going to be walking through with the Shark team and ultimately with the buyers, and then how to grow that business, scale the business, and then eventually sell it. We want you from the beginning to when you sell for a lifetime, and we're here to help.
Awesome.
Sharkpreneur Academy, go to it. It'll be launching soon on Instagram.
Awesome. Thank you, Gerard. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. Till next time.
Thank you.
Bye, all.